Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Liftoff interview. I am here with Eternal Sovereign's very own Sovereign. How's it going?
I'm doing pretty well tonight. If I'd say something here.
All right, great to hear, great to hear. Well, with that in mind, let's just jump right into the meat of things. I wanted to ask you, Sov, how far do you think Eternal Sovereigns will get?
In my opinion, I think we can make NASA. We have been preparing ever since we qualified for not ever since we qualified for liftoff, and I think we can take it all the way. I don't think NASL is within our reach, and we all know that. So we're gonna aim for NASA, which we believe is in our reach.
Hey, I mean, you were very close to qualifying during Launchpad 1, where if you had qualified there, you, I guess, technically would have been within the expected teams to make NASA, but fortunately it did take you till Launchpad 2 to qualify, but you still look pretty good while doing it. And yeah, I'm excited to see if you guys can make NASA. But I wanted to ask you, which teams do you think will make it to landing?
So this is really interesting because I genuinely think this can go three ways, and I think there's three teams specifically that I think have a really good chance to make it to landing. One of which I think will have to play perfectly. Like we'll need like a perfect bracket run. Without further ado, I'm just gonna get into it. Number one, I mean, I don't think this is a. I don't think we have to combat this at all. I think uncontested modern will absolutely make it to landing. Carmine, Carmine, Forgot, and Ron P. These three are like some of the strongest players I've seen like so far. I think without question they will top five and go to landing. Well, I go top four to make it. Well, top four, but I think this team absolutely will do it. I have no doubt about that in my mind. Secondly, this is because they're a fan favorite of mine. I think Ember's Flame they have a really huge chance as well. They've been playing super well. And I've kind of been like popping in like here and there like trying to get some insider info from them, and I it sounds like they're ready. I know recently they added Beepo to their sub roster as well, very solid player. Um, and overall, I think the roster of Mr. Zert, Wisp, and Jay can take it to they can take it to the landing, and I hope to see them in NASL. But upsets could happen, and they could fall down to NASA, which wouldn't be bad either. I think they are definitely a high NASA and low NASL level team. So I'm really excited to see that. And now this is the third team I wanted to talk about. The team I think could make it to landing and make it to and potentially fall into NASA, or just what is it, get knocked out and sent to NASA here by placing really high. Yin and Yang. I have such high hopes for this team, mainly because I'm a little biased. Because Dragon Claw's the GOAT, guy that gets us the GOAT, great as me, is an absolute demon. But I think this team has the potential to go on the biggest upset streak I think uh we've ever seen. I could be I this could be Glaze. It could be Glaze. But I genuinely think that these three are doing really well lately. I've got I've heard from Glad that she's practicing new goalies as well. I've been I've been scoping out what the guy that gets has been doing. And I know Greatest Meme, a former member of Pass, is a very solid player and has also been growing exponentially as well since NASA of last season. So I'm really excited to see how these three do this liftoff, and I'm excited to see who else they pull in for their team as well. That's those are the three teams I think have landing potential.
Are there any others? Because there are four slots, right, available for landing. Who do you think will take that fourth slot?
I'll honestly say no doubt in my mind. I'm a big Pass fan. Go Pass. I think they'll take it. I think Rose Petals at somewhere along the line will get knocked down. Will get knocked down to um NASA. I will say though, just they've added three subs to the roster. They've added Zoe the Witch, big fan of her. Puffy FPS, like veteran player, and Zoro just recently was added as well to the sub roster of Rose Petals.
Yeah.
So on paper, this team looks favored to make it in, but I think that there's a potential to upset this team and knock them down to NASA.
Now, the other thing I did want to ask you about, right, is regarding return to form, right? Return to form is a team that a lot of people kind of had as being one of, I guess, quote unquote, the locks to make it into landing alongside Modern Magic. Any thoughts on that and any reasons why you didn't place them here?
As strong as I think this team is, I think the competition this time around is so tight. I think what is it? I do believe they can do. Moffin Coey's a really great goalie. Leo Leon, again, another veteran player, and same with hook resets. Um, it's the same reasoning for rose petals. All these players are really solid, but depending on what happens, I think there are chances to upset this team. And I think there's some new gen players as well, and some new gen teams that can be the ones that knock them down. Or it could also be, what is it, like Pass could knock them down, PLX can knock them down. It could really go any way. Um, it just this liftoff I think is really stacked, so we'll just have to see how things shape out. I do think though, there is a chance. Let's say, for example, between Return to Form and Modern Magic have to face off. I think Modern Magic just blows them out of the water. Um, I think Modern Magic is my number one favorite team. My number one team I think is favored to make landing.
Hey, I'm interested to see how this shakes up, especially with you believing that Return to Form has a chance of being upset by these newer gen teams. But I wanted to ask you, are there any teams that you're excited to play against?
Huge shout out and huge shout out because I was joking with Claude about this, Dragon Claude. I want my rematch against Yin and Yang, from Launchpad One. I want that run back, and I'm not gonna hold back against them if we do match into each other. That's one of the teams, and I think secondly, I'm really excited to fight Polar Cortex. I think that team is really solid. A was a former teammate of mine for draft diff, and like I'd say it's like one of the stronger midfields in this liftoff pool, alongside like uh, Tragic Forgot Jay, uh, who else? Fire Madden, a newcomer as well. I'm also really excited to see how Flying Blobos does as well. But I am really excited to see if we face off against Polar Cortex in any capacity.
Hey, I mean, it could happen, right? We'll have to see how this bracket gets seeded and how things happen in the end. But one thing I did want to ask you before we close things out is there anything you'd like to say to anyone? Anyone you want to call out? Anyone you want to shout out?
First of all, for shout out both shows for last season, having me on their sub roster for Nasty. I hope you guys go really far, and I hope that you guys make the push to a higher league this time. But I'm also down to see you guys if you ever end up getting knocked down to Nasty. I'm down to see you guys win it this time around. That's all I hope the best for y'all. And I hope you guys have a really good season. But I'm looking specifically at Flying Blobos. I won't let what happened in the 7-play tiebreaker during Launchpad 1 happen again. I'm coming for you. You will My rage is unyielding, and I will not stop until we beat you in liftoff.
Hey, you heard it here, Pensando, Fire Maiden, Alpha Me. If you guys are watching this, Sovereign will not lose twice. Well, I suppose that wraps it up for our interview. Thank you for coming on, Sov. It was a pleasure having you.
It's a pleasure for you to have me here on this interview as well.
Yeah, and with that, I suppose it's about time we close out. Well, viewers, don't go anywhere. We're going to have liftoff pretty soon, and I'll see you there. Bye.
Bye.